What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down? What's shaking? Welcome to Jonathan Soul's podcast. This is Jonathan Soul speaking with you now. Here at Jonathan Soul Sundays, what we do up and through here is we talk to Africans from the diaspora, people that make stuff, people that write, people that draw, people that create, artists, writers, engineers, business people, people who make the kind of world that they want to live in. So if you ever wanted to do something different in your life, this is the show to listen to. Why? Because I'm talking to the people who are doing it right now. Check it out. Jonathan Soul Sundays. I have the honor and privilege of talking to Kai Leaks. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing great.
Now, did I screw up your first name? Be honest.
Not this time.
Oh, man. I can either say I give people nicknames or I can't read. So I'm going to go with nicknames. All right. So the reason why I'm sharing the microphone with Kai is because she writes these scary, romance-laced, thriller-type, horror-type novels. I'm talking about the Sin Eater series. Y'all can find them on Amazon. If y'all go to her personal website, which is KWHPFP. Hold on, let me try it again. Yeah, you really got to get that domain thing worked out.
I know.
I'm not mad at you because I got my my Squarespace open template. I'm trying to get my stuff together myself. But go to Amazon.com and look up Kai Leaks, KAILEAKES, and you can find all her novels. Now, the thing that's interesting is she's a young writer, but she seemed like she'd been in the game for a minute. I mean, how many novels do we got here? We got Sin Eaters, we got Sin Eaters, and then we got Sin Eaters Retribution, Devotions Book 2. Then we got looks like Guardians. What's this here?
Guardians is connected to Sin Eaters.
And then you appear in a few anthologies, right? You got the City anthology. Now, this City anthology was very intriguing because the subtitle, of course, is a cyberpunk anthology. What's your definition of cyberpunk?
Ooh, well, when I did the City, that was my first time ever doing something like that. So for me, cyberpunk is sci-fi, and that means straight up in the future.
Right.
Not dysphoria sometimes, but sci-fi, thinking of with Black people, Latinos, Asian, just colorful, diversity, focus, and led sci-fi in the future. So something like I Am Robot. That's my definition of that.
Gotcha. Isn't it funny how a lot of the futuristic stuff nowadays is dystopic?
Yeah, it's a hard word.
You know what I mean? I blame the schools. You know what I'm saying? So, do you think people just have a glum vision of the future? I mean, it's not like with Gene Roddenberry where everybody was getting along. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it goes with. I say I put it on the trend of things, and when I'm saying that, I'm meaning on what's going on in society today. So, like, where everybody's emotional moods comes out of that, these different genres of writing. So when you're feeling down and like we were just coming out of the, great recession again, but I was calling it the depression again, part 2.
Right.
A lot of this dysphoria books came out, and a lot of the urban fiction came out and things like that to help deal with and touch with all the things that was going on at that time, of those times those books and stuff came out, especially. So yeah, it makes sense why that's a popular genre, which I am not knocking at all. I have a slight dysphoria books in my Sin Eaters novella. So, well, I guess the whole series as a whole could kind of be considered that too. So, I mean, it makes sense. Especially what's going on today. So you're feeling a little depressed and you feel like you can write. Sometimes that's what you write. You write around what you know. And if you're in the city and you're feeling the the stresses of the city and the stresses of poverty, stresses of taxes rising all the time and can't pay rent and all of that. And you throw it in your books, and that's what you get. Hunger Games, especially
Wow.
2017.
So people take the funk that they in and they push it into the future. Is that what
Yeah.
art's supposed to do?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's supposed to reflect your world, your emotions. It's supposed to reflect the politics going on, things that you want to speak about, things
Mhm.
that you care about. It's like writing is like a diary, basically. It's
Okay.
like if you are not a person that is vocal, or you're not a person that likes to publicly speak or want to be a politician, but you have a gift for writing or you have a gift for painting or
Mhm.
crafting anything, that's what people do.
Okay.
They put pieces of themselves into it, and that's how you get all these wonderful pieces of art.
All right. So let's talk about some of these wonderful pieces. Sin Eaters, Devotion, Book 1.
Mhm.
So what pieces of yourself is in Sin Eaters, Book 1?
All of me, almost practically all of me, and
Mm-hmm.
broken up and chopped up like a chocolate chip cookie. There you go.
All right. Then so tell us about it. Tell us about Sin Eaters.
Sin Eaters is my baby. It was my first, not my first story I ever wrote, but my first one that I actually completed.
Okay. All right.
And it came to me in a dream actually, and but
What
prior
is it
to
with
that,
these dreams? You're the third writer
it's
I talked to that's
it's
having these
crazy.
dreams.
But I mean, I am not like, I'm literally not trying to be cliche here. I'm being
Right.
serious here
Mm-hmm.
because at that time I was going through a bit of depression
Okay.
because I was a new graduate,
Mm-hmm.
had just graduated from my undergrad, and I couldn't find work,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't find anything, couldn't find a school to go into it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at home.
Wow.
I'm that millennium.
Gotcha.
I was at home and I couldn't find work in the appropriate time. So I just said, to keep busy, to get
Mm-hmm.
out of the funk, let me write. And
Okay.
so I ended up writing 2 stories.
Wow.
It was a story before that, and then pieces of Sin Eaters. And at that time, I was also reading a lot. I loved my Barnes and Nobles when it was around, addicted to it.
Uh-huh.
If I went there with family,
You
or
didn't
if
go
I
to
went,
Borders? You didn't go to Borders Books?
no, we didn't have a Borders in my area
Okay.
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would disappear whenever I couldn't go to bookstores with people because then I just disappear. I'd be rocking, you be talking to me, and I'll be right next to you,
Uh-huh.
and you blink and I'm gone.
That's
That was just me.
That's beautiful.
So at that time, I was going through all those type of emotions of where I wanted to go in life, and
Uh-huh.
so Scene Eaters, I was reading L.A. Banks. That is my heart right there. She was everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was introduced to her by another author who was awesome, and I can't ever say her name right, so I will not say it.
Okay.
And so L.A. Banks also influenced me. I was looking for myself in stories. I was looking for myself in fantasy specifically because that's what I love to read, speculative fiction. And so in romance. So Sin Eaters came out from that because of that, and then it led into the dream where it said, well, you might as well just write this down and be vivid with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote pieces of it around that time. And it wasn't until 2010 or 11 that I shared it with my friend who's also another author who read it, and she was like, oh my gosh, you need to submit this.
Wow.
And she was like, and you need to finish it first and foremost because I want to know what else happens. So she had a connect with an awesome literary agent that ended up being awesome author that ended up being my literary agent as well.
Okay.
And that's how Sin Eaters ended up being published. But like I said, it came out of a state of depression, of trying to find myself, trying to figure out what I was going to do in my life, and ultimately wanting to see myself a young African American woman at the time. And I'm still young, but still younger than I am now, and needing to feel like I belong in these stories that I always grew up reading anyway. So like these fantasy, action-packed, romantic, all this mishmash of a genre in this story. and I wanted to see myself in it. So that's where that came from, if that all makes sense.
That's beautiful. Now, just give us briefly the premise of Sin Eaters. Is it a priest in there and there's some cookies involved? Is it vampires? Tell me, Sin Eaters. Tell me about Sin Eaters, the premise.
The premise is basically, this where the story goes. Basically, the premise is about a young girl who doesn't know what's going around her in her world. She's transitioning into her adulthood, solid adulthood, and starting a business. And as she's doing those things, unbeknownst to her, or in her mind, St. Louis is flipping off its lid. You know, folks is tripping in the streets, battles going on. Well, to her eyes, kind of like how Ferguson blew up.
Yeah,
is what is going on for her in her eyes at that time. What she doesn't realize is this is a supernatural battle, and this is a supernatural world that she's actually a part of, and she's been protected for a long time.
Wow.
By a specific guardian angel who you will meet as the Reaper in the beginning.
Okay.
And he and his crew are the people that are battling the streets of St. Louis and protecting us from all the crazy as much as they can, from all the crazy going on in the world by the cursed. And then this leads up into Chicago, into the streets of Chicago, because it turns into a basically epic battle against good and evil.
Wow.
And shows that even in the middle of good and evil, there's a gray area where sometimes what looks bad really isn't bad. And what looks good really isn't good.
Wow. Okay. I'm digging this. I'm digging this already. So tell me some of the influences. You mentioned L.A. Banks, and so I just brought her name up, and it looks like she wrote some vampire novels. Am I off on that?
Yes, she did. Well, before I ever even knew anything about her, as a kid growing up, I was like obsessed with vampires. Right?
Really?
One time, yes.
All right. So what's the earliest vampire movie you saw?
Earliest vampire movie I saw?
The first one, yeah.
Whatever you call his name,
Nosferatu?
Yes.
Okay, so you had to watch it on YouTube because you couldn't be that old.
I am.
You saw that on the early version of YouTube when they were still having videos of cats. Okay, that is, even today, the way they shot it, the way the guy moved, the lighting, that joint is still scary.
It is, but it didn't scare me. I just was like, what is this? And this is a funky looking vampire. And so I got into that, but that movie wasn't what triggered me into my obsession with vampires. Okay. Actually, and that really wasn't even my first vampire movie. If I want to be real, I'm an 80s baby. Okay.
All right.
So I grew up in the 80s with all the great, awesome movies. And yes, they're awesome. And people may not understand that, these new kids, but they were. With all the little funny little click little movies. So, you have.
You got to name some of them. Name. Okay, so First Bite, I got you. That's what the tan guy, right? The comedian brother?
Yes.
All right, Harrison something. I know you're talking about.
Then you also had Lost Boys. I grew up on Lost Boys.
That joint was scary.
Yeah, but it wasn't for me. What scared me was Freddy Krueger and Jason. But anyway, that's another story. But that got me into the vampires, and then it was ultimately Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire that pushed it over the edge. I fell in love with the Christina character and Louis character. I like Louis over Lestat.
The Louis was the interviewer, right?
Yeah. Well, he wasn't the interviewer. He was the one being interviewed.
What?
He was the one being interviewed. The interviewer was, I forgot the human's name.
Brad Pitt's character was interviewing Tom Cruise, right?
No. Brad Pitt's character was the one being interviewed. Tom Cruise was the main vampire Lestat.
And Lestat was interviewing Brad Pitt?
No. Okay, Christian Slater, if you remember who that is.
Yeah, sure.
He was the interviewer. He was playing a character named David.
Oh.
and he interviewed Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brad Pitt told his story. You got to be introduced to Tom Cruise, the main vampire.
Okay.
And then it had an awesome twist at the end with Christian Slater's character.
All right. So you can tell I half watched the movie with like one eye open, one eye shut. Okay. Gotcha. So this is
So that
interesting.
kickstarted my stuff with vampires. It was with books because I was a book fanatic. So yeah.
Now, how deep did you go? Did you study the vampire vibration, like the earliest one, right? Because I'm a slow reader, and so I look for audiobooks, and so I found like what may be even earlier than Bram Stoker. There's this
that he copied off of supposedly.
Probably. It's called Varney the Vampire, and they spell it. Yeah, it's a long ass book, literally like 50, 60 some chapters. And it's on LibriVox, so, people volunteer to read. And, some people got mad accents. You can barely understand them. Some people sound like they're recording on their cell phone, but they mash it all together. But it's like they spell vampire with a Y. That's how old the joint is. And they said back then it came in like a magazine. They call it, I forget what it's called. Yeah, little magazines and stuff. So they pieced it all together. And I was like, this is, and I think it came out a few years before Bram Stoker actually, put his thing down.
Yeah, it did.
So do me a favor. Define what a vampire is in your mind, because the vampire, if you go from Nosferatu to True Blood, that's like the last joint I saw. True Blood season 1. After season 1, I had to cut them back because they got too gross, too weird. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, ugh, I can't watch this. But tell me, what's your definition of a vampire?
A vampire is an entity, and it's all, well, I won't go that far, but anyway, it's a supernatural entity that is almost like the living dead, unliving. That feeds off of either the energy of a person or their physical blood.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And they needed to stay young, or in some cases, or needed to just live to be immortal in general. Mm-hmm. That's their food, that's their survival. And they are basically, I just say, like, they're demonic evil, depending on who's writing it originally, because the people who knew about them didn't know them personally. They didn't get to know that, there's some more to this thing that's trying to kill me. So essentially,
right,
they're evil, like demons. So yeah, that's my little definition on them. This entity, thing, person that needs to live off of you, like a parasite, basically.
Okay. And how do vampires relate to sin eaters? Okay. Like, are they a necessary evil? Are they like, how if the deer in certain areas, they get too numerous, maybe the hunters go and they kill a certain number of them to get the thing down so they won't eat up all the crops. I mean, are they like a necessary evil, or like what is their place in your world?
In my world, there are two different types of them, because it's different types of vampires. You do have those that are good, which is the main characters, and Common and his crew. And then you have the bad, which is the curse, where come up with different types of demons, but they are vampires in that subset.
The curse is vampires?
Yes.
I thought they was the police.
They are, but when you get into the necessary evil kind of thing, this is Common.
The po-po? Okay. All right. Okay.
That's my little surprising twist to it.
That's something.
It's a battle between good and evil, but what happens when the angels, because these are angels now, have to evolve into bad?
Interesting.
Or what you think is bad.
Okay.
So what is the necessary evil thing?
Now, when I was, kind of just doing a little reading or whatever, I keep seeing romance mentioned in connection with your work. Is that something that's a strong theme in your writing?
Yes, because I grew up on romance I'm a girl, so I'm a little girly girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to read my romance. If I need to feel a little bit of love in the life in the world that's dark, I go pick up a book of romance. So yes, it's a necessary.
Oh, you right, little romance, so nice.
But if you look at my catalog, I haven't written strictly romance until just recently. So yeah.
Well, see, to me, that's the balance for the dystopic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If the world is going to hell, I mean, as long as there's two people that found something special, I think that kind of balances things out.
And that's what I do with senators, yes, with the leads, yes.
That's beautiful.
Well, all of them eventually, but yes.
Now, with the second book, Sin Eaters 2, it's devotion, right? Let me just go back.
It's all the devotion series.
Okay, the devotion series. Okay. Well, let's just let the audience know that second novel is out there. They definitely got to cop the first. I'm on Amazon now. You can get it in the Kindle format. You can get it in paperback and mass market paperback. What's that?
Those are the little hand ones that you can get and put in your pocket or whatnot.
Oh, that's cool. That's the things you can kind of throw in your pocket when you're riding on the train or whatever.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, what I also noticed, and this is why I say it seems like you've been a busy little bee, is you also have this other novel. It looks a little older, Christmas Kind of Love. What's that?
Mm-hmm. That's new. That was with me and my friend, the one that I told you about. Told me to go ahead and submit senior. She's an author as well, and we came together to do a short little novella to show and stretch our little hands in different genre of writing, this is strictly sappy romance novella.
That's
this
beautiful.
Is like that Hallmark holiday love kind of thing.
That's cool.
So yeah, and it's a little cute little tale that people ended up really loving. It's about this guy coming into town. Where this town is an old town. It's all black. We did that on purpose. We wanted to show that, we can have these little cute little quirky historic little towns that you see on TV too.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful and absolutely necessary.
Yes. And that's called Sojourner Falls. And the young man that comes is Blade Martin, and he's there just from years of leaving there. He's the prodigal son basically, and he gets back to this town that's starting to, because a lot of our towns are disappearing.
Okay.
Because of the youth leaving, and because there is nothing sustainable there to keep them around.
Now that's actually real. That's actually happening in a lot of small towns.
And Sojourner Falls is going through that same thing, and you have Blade meets Grace, who's lived there all her life, and she's trying to keep the town up with her family because she owns an inn. And so these two characters meet and clash and all this stuff, and it forms into a friendship in the beginning, friendship kind of thing, where they're trying to save this town from disappearing, this historic town, because you don't have that many of us around. Like, they want to battle and save this town. On the up end, Blade is a city kind of guy who just doesn't believe in the town yet, so it's up to Grace to get him to believe into the town and try to help save it.
This sounds like one of those little Sunday afternoon matinee movies that should be on someplace. This is beautiful. That's great. Wow. And of course it has a happy ending, right?
Yes, it does.
All right. I love happy ending. That's beautiful. Wow. So you being a romantic, you must have some kind of, I'm just guessing you have some kind of ritual, some kind of mood setting practices that you do when you write. So can you tell me about it?
Sure. That has nothing to do with being a romantic, though. It's just how I am. My characters come to me in my mind. They talk to me like little voices, sit at a table in my head, and we, start talking. And oftentimes I turn on some music, and whatever that character is feeling, I turn that kind of music on. So like with Sin Eaters, I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned some songs in there that I wrote it, which kind of timestamp it, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to a lot of hip hop, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
rap. Jay-Z was my thing. I think at that time when I was writing that, and Kanye, unfortunately, the good Kanye
Mm-hmm.
was at the my head when I was writing that. I was going to a little bit of house music, a little bit of grind.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the romance, I was going into a lot of neo soul because it was a lot at that time, more than now,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of R&B kind of thing going on. So it helped guides me and helps me paint a picture of where my characters are at in a specific zone in the story, or where they are at emotionally in the story, and things like that. It helps me a lot and keeps me relaxed while I'm trying to write.
So let me get this straight.
Hmm.
You're about to sit down and commence with writing these characters. You
Hmm.
put on music to get you in the mood so you can relax.
Hmm.
And you're saying it has nothing to do with being a romantic? I mean, come on now. You can lie to yourself, but don't lie to me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on now. That's about as romantic as you can get. Y'all smell that? Y'all smell the incense, right? Because she put the petulo on the light bulb. I know you did it. I know you did. I can smell it from here.
Well, I'm also watching movies and stuff too, and I don't have anything to do with that.
Wow, that's really groovy. That's really groovy. The thing that's interesting is that I think there's a part of the writing process where we become a channel, a microwave receiver, a radio station for the characters to kind of come into this world, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And some people do that by just writing at the same desk every day, same time every morning. Other writers, they have another ritual where they have to go outside the house. But you're the first one that mentioned getting in the mood with music and stuff, and that the characters have a theme, or at least a genre. So that's an interesting twist. That's a very interesting twist. Let's keep going with your novels. There's another one. Now I'm looking at the title here. It's also part of the Sin Eater series. This is Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
So Rebel Guardians, Sin Eaters Chronicles. So is this like book 3 in the series, or is this a
It,
prequel, or what?
I call it my in between stories. It's behind the book series.
Okay.
So what's going behind Sin Eaters? Basically, this starts after Sin Eaters 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a book and a half kind of
Mm.
thing. So you get to see the other characters. Eventually, I'm going to expand it out more, but you get to see the characters behind Sana and Comet, because I had a lot of people that love specific characters in the books
Mm-hmm.
and didn't even care about the leads. They just cared about the secondary characters more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, okay, that's interesting. Everybody wants to know what's going on with these other folks, so why not drop them into their own little stories that I can put out every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and link them up into what's going on with behind the series when things are on hiatus, or when things like right now, everybody wanted me to do a part 3 to Sin Eaters, and I was like, well, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to know what's going on, and so I came up with this behind the book series thing.
Okay.
And I'm not the one that invented the idea behind the book series, I want to say. So,
Gotcha.
but I did come up with this one out there. And this is following Sana's siblings,
Mm-hmm.
Dare and his best friend and godbrother, Take, as
Okay.
they go into this journey on trying to find other guardians, basically, and other people that can help with the fight against the cursed.
Gotcha. Now, I know that genre names are never exactly accurate,
Mm-hmm.
but how would you put a label or a style to how would you categorize your style of writing, your subject matter?
Um, an eclectic mishmash of speculative fiction. Basically, it's all speculative fiction. That's all I write, which is a big old umbrella for many things.
Right.
So mainly, if I wanted to narrow it down, like you're asking, then it would be para. What is it called? Para-romance. I'm sorry, para-romance. So basically, the paranormal genre with romance.
Oh, okay. That's novel. I never heard about that. Para romance. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Why angels? Why did you choose angels as opposed to just sticking with this terrestrial kind of entities?
Because how I was dreaming, and I don't know why I was dreaming this. I must have drank something, ate something. I really don't know. I saw this man in all black, and he was protecting me and watching over my shoulder, and I had that sensation of somebody doing that for me long ago back in undergrad, when I was in undergrad. And how I connected it was my guardian angel.
Mm-hmm.
And in the dream, when he spoke to me, he laughed, and I saw fangs. And I was like, "Well,
Really
what's going on here?"
interesting. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Oh, sure.
So you said that you felt this sensation before.
Hmm.
Can you describe it? Like, where were you? What was happening? What was going on in your life at the time?
Well, I was in undergrad, and I was, just on my own for the first time. I think it was my freshman year when this happened.
Were you in the
And
dorms? Did you have an apartment in the city? What?
I had a dorm. I had a
Okay.
dorm.
Okay.
And at this time, I had just lost I believe this was the time when I just lost either my grandfather or my uncle, who was at both
Oh,
near
sorry to
around
hear
the
that.
same time.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And I had that dream that somebody was sitting on the edge of my bed,
Mm.
and I was talking to him.
Interesting.
And I think this is the one. I think it was my grandfather, because I woke up with a recipe for a barbecue sauce that he always hid that
Wow.
nobody knew. And so I felt him at the edge of my bed, and we was having a conversation. I felt myself talking. I don't know what I said,
Mm-hmm.
but I just felt myself talking to him. And so that was my first experience of that.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So I'm assuming that you believe that there's more to life than just our five senses.
Yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
it's not even specifically related to anything religious or anything like that.
Right.
I believe in there's some extra power energy going on around. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be into the Matrix, what I call religion. I used to be in the Matrix back in the day until I started studying history. And
Mhm.
then once I, discovered that generally people just deify ancestors and it's a cultural product like music and all of this kind of stuff, then so you take the religion off the table, but you still have these experiences that you can't explain.
Mhm.
So, that's when you have to accept that, well, I may never know why some of this is, or there are other things that, maybe I just have to accept. Like when my third daughter was born, I looked into her eyes and I knew she was here before. I
Mhm.
don't know how to explain it. Old people used to say that back in the day. I didn't believe them
Yeah.
until it happened to me. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, is this on for later? Is this, who is this person? And everything. So it's interesting. You said you had that feeling. And, I truly think that when people love you, something like death probably wouldn't separate. You know what I mean? You still want to watch over folk, even though, you know what I mean, you're not at the same address anymore. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So it does that kind of understanding find its way into your work then?
Oh yeah, all the time, especially all through Sin Eaters. Definitely, there's a sect of people that they're called the disciples,
Mm-hmm.
and really, these people are just everyday people like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them may have extra gifts, like, or psychic, or can discern certain things like that, and others may see spirits and things like that. So yeah, my experiences like that, or experience I've heard of friends like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I put into my stories all the time.
Wow, wow. Now, off mic, we talked about there might be another story or anthology of stories you may partake in, and you mentioned like Afro steampunk. Am I remembering that correctly?
Oh yeah, that's my latest one that I'm gonna drop here probably within the next month or two. It's just a short novella. Originally it was for an anthology that
Mm-hmm.
was about Afro steampunk world, basically. And this was my first attempt in trying to write something in the steampunk genre because I've never done it before. Only thing I knew about steampunk was unfortunately that people hate being that being tied to it, but I don't care. It was the Wild Wild West with Will Smith. So that's all I really knew about steampunk.
Yeah, that joint was dope. I know the
And
plot
so
was corny and everything, but the gadgets and
right,
that was
exactly.
dope.
e-
Yeah.
Exactly. And I like that kind of stuff. So it
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, let me try this. I love fantasy. I already did my little vampires and werewolves and all that kind of thing mishmash with Sin Eater. So let me try this new little angle. So Ani's Tears, that I may call Oya's Tears later. I don't know yet. I'm still deciding. Anyway, it came from out of that. And so it didn't get accepted, unfortunately. I retweaked it and tried to submit it elsewhere. It didn't get accepted elsewhere. So then finally I was like, let me just drop this myself.
Yeah. F them people. Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And On These Tears is basically about a young girl. It's kind of like a new adult novelette because she is only 20,
Mm-hmm.
and she is supposed to be this protector of. She was chosen by Oya, which is a African goddess,
Mm-hmm.
um, to protect a vase or something called her tears, and it holds the liquid of her essence, basically.
Okay.
And this young girl supposed to become the generation that we're chosen to be the protector of this object, and she's just of age now, where it's not hurt her. And before she can accept that role, because she's just been learning it all these years, and now it's time for her to finally accept it. Her little town gets jacked up, and
Wow.
she has to go into her role as a guardian, basically, to protect the town and the people from these demons,
Okay.
um, who want the object that she has because they want to take over the magic in the world and turn everything to nothing.
Gotcha.
And so
Gotcha.
this story kind of goes into that, and it's just really about her self discovery and her have to accept this role that she's going to undertake and protect herself from, while having to accept the responsibility that comes with it. Because what comes with it is once she accepts it, she has to have a protector herself.
Okay.
And she
Interesting.
doesn't want one. She feels like she can do it herself. She got this. She don't need it. So that's what
Now
this story is about.
we must be in like some kind of synchronicity because the next question I was going to ask you. Now this is keying in on her having to accept a protector. The next question I
Mhm.
was going to ask you before you even mentioned that was you said that you were a girly girl, and I can tell that just for talking, and that's something that's very special and precious nowadays. Um, can a girl be a can a woman be a heroine and not be all rough and tough? Can she
Oh
still
yeah,
be girly and still be powerful? Can you talk about that?
yeah. Well, I guess I like to say that so far in my stories, uh, the women that are the heroines are, and it's not supposed to. It's not particularly because I'm trying to make some statement about gender roles or anything like that. It's not. It's just
Okay,
how they come to me.
sure.
And so with Sana, she's this chef,
Mm-hmm.
loves to cook, take care of her family and friends. Why? Because I love to cook.
Okay.
um, so she has to accept her role in what's coming on with the seniors that she finds out, while her guardian angel is the one that's supposed to protect her. But in the process, she of her learning those roles, she becomes a little more where she doesn't really need him.
Okay.
And then that's not in a negative kind of sense of any kind of way. It's just she knows her role, she knows her purpose now, and she got this.
Okay.
And so I do that on purpose to show, not everything, you don't know everything. And even if you do end up becoming into a situation where you do know it all, sometimes it's okay to have other people to help you out in those situations.
Wow.
Or at least work at your side in those situations. And so the women in my story can be soft, but then I also have a lot of women that what some men I guess would feel is too hard. But like my character, the Medusa, I imagine some men would consider her very hard.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm finding out is a lot of the men and a lot of the women identify very well with her and don't consider her hard in the sense of she's trying to do too much. She's just badass.
Okay.
And I think that's good and healthy to have too. You can be a badass and still kick butt and still be very feminine.
Okay. Wow. So you have different templates of femininity in your novels.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all Wonder Woman, magic bracelets, lassos, punching tanks. Some of them are.
Well, some are because I like that. I'm just like, Sama has the other half of her that she doesn't know how to control yet that can do all of those things.
Okay, all right. Well, every coin has two sides, so yeah.
Yeah, coin has two sides. I just like to show all those different little facets and stuff. Because
right.
I mean, it's only fair. In other genres, you get other writers, and I'm just gonna say people of color that get to go around and just be save the cheerleader, save the world kind of thing.
They could do it. We could do it too. We could do it. I see what you said. You're funny.
So if they can be the one, we can have our one as well.
I'm with you. This romantic thing keeps kind of stirring it in my consciousness. Yeah. Let's go off the rails a little bit here. Give me your top 5 favorite romantic movies. They could be romantic comedies. They could be. Give me your top 5.
Ew, who says I like to watch all of that all the time?
I don't know. I just pick out this out the sky.
Growing up, yeah. My top one, I'll give it to, let's see. This is hard. Top romantic for me, I would be Princess Bride.
Okay.
Love and Basketball, but really it goes flips from Love and Basketball and Love Jones to I think those are, I only really have 3. I haven't had anything else that really just, okay. There's another one. Sometimes I watch over and over again. A Walk in the Clouds. Sometimes I watch it over again. That's really cute. I really like that movie, and that's romantic. Let's see. Whatever Disney movie is out that year.
Okay.
I'm really doing bad here in my thinking process. Usually I can spit it out really well, but you getting specific on romance only, and I'm just like,
Well, there's a romantic element. Say again?
Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar. Okay. Now I can say honestly that I've never seen any of these films. Not a nair one. Now, I'm going to give you my top 5. And this is going to be tough because I don't usually watch romantic stuff. But let me see here. Let me just go for it. The first one would be top 5. The joint with Chris Rock and Rose O'Donnell, whatever. Rosario, yeah. So top 5. The second one is the Robin Williams joint. Robin Williams. I'm cheating with the with Google here. I've watched this movie probably 10 times. What Dreams May Come.
That was good. See, I don't consider that romance though.
Well, I mean, if he didn't have a soulmate, there wouldn't be a movie. You know, that was like the
This is
core.
true. This is true.
That
That
was,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. All right, then. So let's see here. So top 5, what dreams may come. Let's see what other movies I got here. Deja Vu. With
Yeah. That Denzel with Denzel.
yeah, Deja Vu, and it's funny because he loved her from afar, kind of thing. He kind of fell in love with her from afar. It wasn't like they was a straight couple, you know, kind of thing. And let me see, boom, 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 and then what's the other joint? Let me see. That's not really a romance. That's not really romance either. See, now I'm doing bad.
See, some things it's just like I don't think that's a romance, but okay.
Yeah, I can't even. Yeah, the other ones are just a guy rescuing a girl, and that's not necessarily a romance kind of thing. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, to me, a romance is like there's a guy in some kind of impossible circumstance, and the love that he has for this woman helps him overcome it. To me, that's a romance. Is that your definition or no?
No.
That's not your
specific definition. It's just it's two people that are in love that anything can happen, whatever. But ultimately, they just in love. That's all I call romance.
That's all it is. Oh, okay, all right.
And if you really want to go there for a meeting, that means like you can go and say what 50 Shades of Grey is romance, but it's a different type of romance.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't see that thing either. But apparently a lot of people were disappointed.
Yeah, I heard that too. I don't know. I don't follow that.
Yeah, me either. I could tell you a story, but that it might. Well, this is the internet. You want to hear an interesting story?
Go for it.
Okay. So this girl I dated for half a minute. She was. I didn't know it at the time, obviously, but as we talked, I found out that she was into that kind of lifestyle, and I didn't even know it was a lifestyle. With the whips and the leather and the whole bit. It's a lifestyle. They got mail order catalogs for shit, and they got like their clubs with dungeons in the bottom. I mean, she had a hell of a story. And the thing that was interesting was she hated the movie because their technique was wrong. I was like, what?
But it does for you because if you think about it, you can probably say that same thing with the people that was upset with Harry Potter movies or.
Well, it's not like there's a way to cast a spell. That's not real. But she was like, the way you choke somebody.
I was like, well, hey, that's her lifestyle. That's what she get into. She know what's real and what's not. And if it ain't looking real, she got a problem. I don't blame her.
It was one of those surreal kind of, am I really hearing this right now in this little coffee house? I mean, she was so, it was almost like a guy like my father was a boxing trainer, and Pop would say, there's a certain way you throw a jab and you got to snap it back. I mean, it was like that. She was like, that technique is on. That's not how you ease into it this way. And I was like, whoa.
Because I get where she's coming from, because if you, one of these people that got into that world thinking it's going to be like that movie, thinking it's going to be like that book.
Yeah.
Then it can be problematic. It can be harmful to you, because then once you get in there and get the real deal going on that she knew,
that's crazy.
You can come out and go, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought. Well, duh, because you're going off of a book that or a movie that couldn't, or in the case of the movie itself, couldn't give you everything. That's otherwise it wouldn't be allowed to be shown.
That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, even though it was a fantasy novel, because I guess it didn't line up perfectly. That is interesting. I mean,
well, you think about it, what you said with the boxing. You have a problem with Rocky? Because, I mean, it's the same thing. If you're not swinging right and you watching this movie and you seeing that technique is wrong, you like, well, they could hurt somebody, and they probably did with that swing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, no, I see what you're saying.
I have family that's in that works in the medical field, and every time they watch something on TV, like back in the day with Scrubs or Chicago Med and stuff, they be like, well, that is not even how that goes. Or Grey's Anatomy now, like, that's not how that goes.
Wow. Now, have you had a chance to speak with any of your like fans, any of the readers of your work?
Just it's been like not that many,
Not that
not that
many.
many at all.
Has any of them
But
said, "Hey, vampires don't behave that way"? Hey, I mean, have you?
I've been actually waiting for people to do that with me. Like it's
Uh,
like super excited to have that happen one day. Because all I'm gonna say is, well, I mean, they didn't sparkle, but y'all enjoy Twilight. I like
oh
to think
man,
mine's a little bit more realistic than the sparkle. Then I'm just saying.
that is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Not to
Yeah,
shame her. People love those books, so they.
that is hilarious. Talk about gender roles. They done took the scariest monster ever and turned him into Ken doll or something. He sparkles
You
in
shouldn't see the
sunlight.
movies because that specifically that Ken moment it happens in one of the movies and it really upset my world. I was really upset when I saw that. But
Wow.
outside of that, well, if it's done right, if she wanted it to be done right, she could have
Uh-huh.
kept it sparkling and maybe like super creepy. Like it
That's
could have been
funny.
like super duper creepy and served a function. I would not have a problem with
Wow.
that.
As we wrap up, the fans probably want to get a ballpark as to when the next book is coming out, and you mentioned it's called did you say OSHA Tears? What did you say?
It's just called Ani's Tears right
Ani's
now.
Tears. That's the tentative working title. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And
And
you
it
said
should
that.
come out next month or so. I have to work on it. But next month there is another novel coming from me. Well, not novel. It's a short story, and it's Sin Croc's Daughters or something like that. I don't know when they will link it up to Amazon or Barnes and Nobles for you all to buy it, but I have a Sin Eater short in there too. So
Okay. All right. So that's the compilation or the anthology that you mentioned earlier that you're going
yes.
to be part of. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And I guess that's about it. Tell us about your website, how people can follow you on social media, that type of thing.
Well, you can go to kwhp5f.wixsite.com, and I know that's long. One day I'll be able to get my own domain, but that's where you can find me. You also can find me at Facebook. It's easier to find me on Facebook at
Okay.
my name. You can find me on Twitter at my name as well.
Okay.
I'm on Tumblr on the social network Old Bracket, so you can find me there. Yes, I dabble in horror, and yes, sometimes Sin Eaters can be horror filled, but it's really not to me. So
Hmm.
anybody can read it. It is juicy, but the romance scenes. So
Okay. All right.
enjoy. And I also have, sci-fi, steampunk, regular romance, whatever you need, I got you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Kai Leaks, it's been a pleasure to talk with you.
I have fun talking with you as well. Thank you for inviting me.
Yo, family, that's another episode of Jonathan Soul in the Bag. Hope y'all dug it, and I hope y'all took note of the contact info at the end of the interview. Go ahead and reach out. Go ahead and support those folks. Hey, listen, by the way, family, speaking of support, you can support your friendly neighborhood podcaster by going over to johnathansoul.com and picking up my ebook, Malcolm Mars. Malcolm like the prophet, Mars like the planet. It's an ebook I wrote. 3 families go to Mars to escape the violence and racism of Earth. Black people in space always intrigue me, and that's what you get. You get the politics, the aliens, the family dynamic, the high technology, the whole nine. And I think they're vegetarian or something of that sort. But yeah, family, go ahead and check them out. Also, you can follow me on social media, JOHNATHJNSEUL on Blackspot, on Tumblr, and on Twitter. And of course, you can subscribe to this show on iTunes. And if you go to johnathansoul.com, there's a little RSS feed that you can link up with. Listen, I love you guys. Hope all your dreams come true. And if they're not, just work a little bit smarter.